Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of the Spoiler Alert podcast, not Sleeping with the Numbers. It's a different one. Episode 25, quarter of a way there to 100, and a big one. I think this is a pretty big milestone. We talked about it a bit last week, where we're at what seems like the peak of the movie season. You know, summer's here, and Barbenheimer has come out. We have seen both of those, and that is what our main topic will be today. We're going to be going through both of those films. We might butt heads a little bit. It sounds like, which will make for a good episode. But it's all respect, Ty.
Oh yeah,
no hard feelings.
It's the Barbenheimer episode. We gotta.
That's right. There's going to be some explosions here, and a lot of talk about pinkness. So
yeah.
Let's get it going with the upcoming movies of the week. A decent handful. Ty, you already saw one of them today.
I did see one of them.
Let's talk about that one first. So this one is Talk to Me, yet another horror film that is coming out. Flew, I can't even say a little bit under the radar. I think it is pretty under the radar, and you kind of confirmed that, Ty. When did you end up as the only person in the theater?
No, luckily there was about, I think, 5 other people with me. So there was actually more people in this movie with me than there was at the Mission Impossible showing.
Interesting. But then again, that was a Tuesday, not a Thursday, so that makes a little bit of sense. People probably didn't even know Mission Impossible came out.
For sure.
But yeah, Talk to Me. We get another horror film, hopefully. No spoilers here, Ty. Just you'll give that next week.
Yeah.
But you know, hopefully this is one that can kind of hit that higher bar. We've talked about it before. We had Scream 6, and that's kind of what the peak has been so far for these horror films. Not many of them have done very well, but this is about a group of friends. They discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand. They become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. So, sounds interesting enough. You know, it's maybe a subject that's kind of been done where these, I'm assuming, are they like teenagers or young adults?
They're teenagers, and they're all Australian teenagers.
Oh shit!
So it's a little spicy.
Okay, get a little flavor in the accent when they're conjuring them. Gotcha. But yeah, that sounds interesting enough. I like most of my horror movies if they involve demons, spirit, shit like that. I like that more for the most part than like monster films.
Yeah.
I just think
speaking of that,
creepier.
The new Exorcist Believe trailer looks wild.
Oh yeah?
It actually looks pretty wild. I'm starting to think that once we see like one of these movies about like the possession, they all just kind of look the same.
That's fair.
They kind of like all those like the possession of or whoever or the exorcism of movies. They kind of all just like make them look creepy. And then they like yell at their mom and throw up.
Confession: I've never seen the original.
I have seen bits and pieces of it.
I assume the original is pretty good. That might be like for its time, it was incredibly scary, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully that doesn't go away. You know, a good film's a good film, no matter how old it is for the most part. But some of the effects, you know, those of course will take a toll. And it is a sequel, it looks like, to the 1973 film.
Yeah, it's especially if you see the trailer, it's like a direct. Like the one girl, or like one person's just a grown ass old lady now. So I don't know if it's the little girl from the first one or what.
This is made by a bunch of the people who worked on The Babadook, which is interesting.
Okay.
And I think that was also Australian, if I'm not mistaken. Which would
or British or very British, something like that.
Yeah, it's either
there's an accent.
The jailers or the ones in jail. Is kind of how that is.
Yeah.
I hope people get that joke because Australia was where they sent prisoners. Britain did. So that was that joke. I'm sorry, that wasn't a good one. There's going to be like crickets for that. Anyways, so that is coming out here this week. Also, the Haunted Mansion, which I think the last one was what, Eddie Murphy? I think that was the one for like our time.
Yeah, I think so.
Uh, is it mean to say I don't give a shit about this movie?
I don't either, and they should have just released it in theaters in October, but I'm thinking they're releasing it now so that it can be on Disney Plus in October for Halloween.
That's fair. This just feels like it should be a straight to Disney Plus type
For
film.
sure. I think a lot of more things should just be straight to streaming for how bad all the Warner Brother movies have been, but
Yeah.
I didn't think the trailer for this looked terrible, but I don't know if I'm gonna make the time to go see this one in the theaters or not. We'll
So here's the
see.
problem, Ty. Jared Leto's in it.
Yeah, he plays the big skeleton spooky guy, and then I don't know.
He's Crump, isn't he?
Rump?
Crump. And then there's just 3 dots after it. So I don't know if that means there's more or what. Crump.
What in the world?
There's a decent cast, right? It's
Yeah.
Lakeith Stanfield, Rosario Dawson, Tiffany Haddish, Danny DeVito, Jamie Lee Curtis, Owen Wilson. So there's a strong main cast there. I didn't even really like the one with Eddie Murphy.
I don't even think I even saw that one. I think that was like a little before or a little after whenever I would have wanted to watch a Disney movie back in that day.
2003.
Okay, maybe not. But
So I was just I don't definitely not peak Eddie Murphy, but that was peak Eddie Murphy movies for children time.
Yep.
Daddy Daycare, Dr. Dolittle, that was all around that time. So yeah, that's coming out. This is one that you wait a month before it's streaming.
Yeah, I mean it'll for sure be on Disney Plus for Halloween. Yeah. Has to be.
Next one here, one I'm pretty excited about because this is a story that I have heard about for a long time and I have not read or have seen it, but it is based on a manga anime. I haven't seen either of them, but it's one that if you search what's the best anime to watch or what's the best manga to read, Slam Dunk shows up on those lists all the time, and I just haven't taken the time to watch it. But this movie is called The First Slam Dunk, and it follows Ryota Miyagi. I hope I didn't butcher that. 17-year-old boy who lost his older brother, Sota, when he was a kid, and he struggles to accomplish Sota's dream to be a basketball star. But yeah, this is based off the hit manga that is incredibly popular, and it already has fantastic reviews. It looks like it actually came out last year, and I'm assuming that was pretty limited in Japan.
Oh, okay.
But it has an 8.4 out of 10 with 3,500 reviews.
I see that. That's actually pretty crazy.
And yeah, I didn't know, how popular basketball was, but I really, really like the art style.
It does look really good, yeah. I had no idea before I looked this up that it was a manga or like an anime. I just assumed it was some kind of like basketball movie, I guess.
It is like I said, incredibly popular one as well. The author has written quite a handful of very popular mangas, and I don't know if this was his first one, but yeah, it's always shows up in lists for what to read.
Okay.
And it's a way to get people who think anime is just like weird cat girls and shit like that into anime by making it about a popular American sport.
Soon they'll be wearing cat ears to school.
Yeah, and the skunk tail butt plugs.
Yeah, the raccoon tail fake. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We've seen a little too much of that in our school. But hey, hopefully the wearing of your significant other's blood around your neck and thinking you're a werewolf type thing is done.
Yeah, shout out to him. He knows who he is.
He's listening for sure. Final movie here. The Mistress. Newlyweds move into their dream home where they discover a collection of 100-year-old letters from a young woman who committed suicide after being abandoned by the owner of the home. So this yet another horror film. I don't know. I think I have more faith in the one you saw today. I could be wrong,
Yeah.
and you might know if I'm wrong or not. But I feel like I have way more faith in that than this one. There's almost no one I have ever heard of in this. However, the director, do you remember movie 43?
Yeah.
So weird ass film, right?
Yeah,
And
very
a
much.
big reason it was weird is because it was written in segments. You know, they gave a director and a writer each a segment for the movie, and then they just like pieced it together. Like, for example, James Gunn has a segment in that movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep.
So this guy also had a segment in that movie, which I don't know which one it was, nor do I really care because most of that movie was crap.
So I'm looking at the poster right now for The Mistress, and they always put all those film festival little award-looking
They have
things
to.
at the bottom of it. I'm looking in to see what film festivals there are. So one of them is an indie film festival, Spirit of Independence Award, Fort Lauderdale International Film Festival. That's very, very niche, it seems like.
Yes.
Los Angeles International Film Festival. So I think this is like a international horror movie?
It looks.
LA Horror Film Fest?
I believe it is Italian.
Oh, okay.
However, the movie is in English. It says.
Hey,
So,
why you my mistress?
oh,
I'm walking here.
oh, this broad killed herself in here.
What the fucking hell is in my spaghetti? It's her head.
And then they do a seance to bring in James Gandolfini, the goat himself.
Joe Pesci walks out, slaps somebody
Joe
around.
Pesci. I found out, so learning a little bit of Italian because we're going to Italy next year.
Hell yeah.
But pesci is fish.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. I don't know what you're gonna do with that information, but that's what that means.
Hell yeah.
But that will do it for upcoming movies. Not really a ton to watch. A lot of these kind of seem like streamers. We may have peaked, like we talked about, and we'll get into those after Ty goes through the news.
The news of which there's not very much. But here we go. A couple things here. So it seems like studios are quietly going all in on hiring people for AI specialist jobs amid all these like strikes right now. So Netflix is hiring a $900,000 per year AI production manager. Disney's looking for a generative AI specialist, and Sony is seeking an AI ethics expert. I don't even know what AI ethics is, but you know, whatever they need it. So the role of artificial intelligence in entertainment has emerged as like a big hot button issue during these strikes. And the actors are starting to fear that studios will take their likenesses or voices and reuse them over and over for little or no pay, and then with little in the way of notice too. So, and the writers and the studios were afraid that they're not going to use any more of their scripts. They're just going to go straight to like Chat GPT, stuff like that, to like write up scripts and bang up scripts that they already have. And then, okay, so producers too, they're arguing that AI should be a balanced approach based on careful use, not prohibition. So who knows how that's going to play out? As long as this strike keeps going, the more that we're probably going to see shitty AI scripts.
It's weird, right? Because so I use ChatGPT daily. We write artificial intelligence models at work, and they're not as good and smart as people are led to believe. Right. So like when you say they're going to be shitty AI scripts, that's very possible. They're not going to write full out scripts, at least for a while. Yeah. You know, you can trick ChatGPT pretty easily into saying some dumb things that it thinks that are true. So I was thinking about this a little bit earlier. I don't remember what podcast I was listening to, but they were talking about the strikes. And I think they were talking about it just passed as the longest strike they've had in history.
Wow. And I feel like it just started.
Yeah. And you know, maybe it started a while ago and it just wasn't newsworthy yet because
Yeah,
they thought it was going to end, but I guess it has hit the longest it's been. Um, but with that said, it's a difficult thing. I hope they all get paid. They deserve it. They work those insane hours and everything like that, which no one should have to put up with. Um, but at the same time, in recent years, and maybe I'm just being a bit of a pessimist, and that might come into play a little later in this episode. um, but I feel like a lot of writing quality has gone down,
for
and
sure.
I'm not saying these people don't deserve to make money. However, there has to be quality associated with their work, and that's a little bit of my biggest gripe is they're not all worth the same. I think um, obviously there should be minimums on what they're paid and the hours worked, job security for sure. Um, but the people who are actually writing good scripts should not be thrown to the side and um, I don't know. I don't know exactly what has changed, but I have definitely felt that shift in the decrease of quality in I think it's mostly TV series.
Yeah,
Um, but even, banger movies, you only get a handful every year.
it does
But
seem like that. Yeah,
yeah, so that's just my 2 cents again. I'm not involved in this at all. I hope it ends. I hope they get the money they deserve. Production studios and they make a shit ton of fucking money. They
right.
can pay them more. Like that's not a question at all. It's just maybe the threat of AI can up their quality a little bit.
For sure. Yeah, I think
Um,
so too.
Also, this reminds me of the South Park episode of Osabo, uh, where he's just pitching movie ideas to these producers. Like that's all this is.
And what's the other one too? It's like the seal picking the balls out of the water or something like
Yeah, for
that.
Family Guy.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
Family Guy jokes, they are they seals? There's something like that, but they pick balls
Or
and they
water,
just piece them together.
like some kind of like water bear or something like that. I can't.
Manatees.
Manatee. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was
Yeah.
something bizarre like that.
And speaking of writing quality, people can shit on, and they do, South Park's quality going down. They're so fucking smart.
Yeah,
Just these jokes that they throw out there. They're fantastic.
they're ahead of their time.
100%. But yeah, that's just kind of my 2 cents. And again, I wanted to throw in a little bit of it's something I actually have experience with and knowledge of is this AI stuff, and it it's not as good as everyone believes, which is
Yeah,
why these people would make close to $1 million a year if they're really good at it.
exactly. So then, just the last thing here. I don't know if we talked about this movie before on the pod or not, but A24's The Iron Claw got its release date. So this is an upcoming sports drama that's going to tell the tragic story of the Von Erich family. And if you're not familiar with them, they are a family well known for being like professional wrestlers. I guess they were all really good professional wrestlers back in the day. So it's starring Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White, who we know from The Bear. And I think he was in, what was the other big show that he was in?
Shameless.
That was it. Shameless. Never watched it though. But
Well, okay, it goes back to the writing quality going down. It was amazing for the first few seasons because
mhm.
of how like wild it was, and then it just like got watered down.
Okay. So yeah, this one's coming to theaters December 22nd. I can't wait.
Yeah.
The picture, I put the picture on the doc. They all have that old school wrestler look. They all have like basically mullets. They
Yeah.
all look jacked up. Um, I'm excited for this one. The Von Erichs, I've heard of them. I used to be a huge wrestling guy back in the day. So great cast. If this is half as good as the movie The Wrestler, I'll be
Yeah.
excited because that's a really good movie.
Throw in Marissa Tomei, we're all good.
We need more wrestling movies, turns out.
There's a wrestling show that I have on my list that I haven't watched. Have you heard of Heels?
I think I have heard of Heels. Who's in that?
It is oh man, I don't know these people. Alexander Ludwig,
Okay.
Stephen Amell. I don't
Oh, okay. Stephen Amell. That's the dude
um
who plays like the Flash or whatever the hell, or Archer, the Arrow, whatever on that
oh,
TV
okay.
show.
I know exactly who you mean. But yeah, that is apparently pretty good. I haven't watched any of it. It's on Prime.
Okay.
I guess technically it's a Stars show, but the first season's free on Prime.
Okay.
Get you hooked. You know, you get that little taste, and then you gotta
Gets
buy
you
it.
ready for the Iron Claw.
Um,
I wonder if their finishing move is just called the Iron Claw.
the Iron
Surely.
Claw.
Surely it is.
Yeah, that has to be something, right? But yeah, you put this here, and I started cracking. I'm like, what the hell's this picture? And one thing,
Ram Ranch.
yeah, at least Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White, they like they could be siblings.
They do.
And then I'm like, I don't know who the hell these people are, and I look them up, and yeah, the statement that it's a tragic story is an understatement.
Yeah.
So, but anything else, Ty?
That is literally it. There was nothing all week. Today,
Okay.
luckily, there was a couple little things. Not a whole lot, especially with these strikes going on. There's really not a lot of news.
Fair enough. So now is the time for us to butt heads. So we are going to go into reviewing Barbie and Oppenheimer. This is a weird one, Ty. I think for Barbie, obviously there can be spoilers and non-spoilers sections,
Yeah.
but at the same time, for like Oppenheimer, it's a true story.
Yeah.
So it's like,
it's a biopic.
hey, we know what
no.
happened because we're not all dead.
Right, exactly.
So we can get into that later, and
Yeah.
but for Barbie, let's kick it off here. We'll go spoiler free with it. And so yeah, it's a total Barbie in her own world, and she starts to have thoughts that are not so pleasant. But Ty, this movie kicks off hilarious, and it is a hot start. So I will start with that. However, in my mind, and this is where we're gonna butt heads. It turns. This isn't a spoiler. This is something I should have seen coming, and I'm a little upset with myself. And maybe that's my biggest gripe: is I'm upset with myself that I didn't see this coming, because it's what Greta Gerwig does in every one of her movies.
That's why I got the checkmate. I got the checkmate right there. It's this movie's not even really for us. I just happen to like it a lot more than you do.
100%.
Yeah.
And what I was hoping this film was going to be was a fun, ridiculous parody of Barbie. Mm-hmm. And that is what all the trailers lead you to believe. The marketing crew did an amazing job at, I'm gonna call it leading everyone on, because that's what they did. And then you get 45 minutes of a movie, and then you get lectured for the other hour and a half or whatever it is at least how I felt. Now, let me just say this. Even if I agree with any statement that you're lecturing me on, I don't want it to be in a movie I'm paying for. I paid enough for lectures throughout college. I don't need it anymore. And that's just how I felt a little bit. I ended up pretty low on this movie. Let me say some positive things first. Casting, amazing. Unbelievable. Spot on. They picked all of the right people. And I saw the little thing that Ryan Gosling got the part of Ken because he was outside and his daughter's Ken doll was face down in the mud. And he took a picture of it and sent it to Greta Gerwig and said, I need to be your Ken. His story must be told. And so,
great.
Hilarious. Again, I can't say enough how well done the casting was. Every single one of the Barbies was a Barbie. You know, when you think of Barbies, any one of these women could be a Barbie. Any one of the Kens could be a Ken. You know, sure. They were all very well done there. Will Ferrell's, he's the head of Marvel or whatever, CEO of Marvel. He's basically the same guy. No, I'm sorry. Lego Movie was, he was the dad, but it feels like a very similar type of role.
Yeah, definitely. I thought the same thing.
And then, so let me just end it here with my rating. I ended up pretty low. I ended up giving this film a 4 out of 10.
Okay. That's all I thought it was I thought you were gonna go even lower than that.
I'm being fair. Casting, like I said, great. I laughed a lot. There were, like, when they had high comedy moments, they were extremely high. It's just that the lows were also low for me. Like we'll talk about it a little bit more in the spoilers, but there are some parts where I was dying.
Oh yeah.
I thought genius writing, really funny things happen. But it's just like the movie itself is bipolar. It doesn't know how it wants you to feel. You can feel either extremely happy or super depressed and like a piece of shit. It's up to you.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll go off now for my spoiler free. Just going to start off by saying this movie's absolutely crushing it at the box office right now. It's already close to 500 mil in its second weekend, and I think it's doing better than Mario was.
Wow.
And so that's crazy. It's going to have huge pop culture. It's going to be nuts. We're going to be seeing this movie for a while. But yeah, I was excited for this movie, but I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't know if it was going to be a kids movie that pandered to adults or just a straight up movie for adults. And it's pretty much a movie for adults. I don't really think it's very kid friendly at all, almost, I would say. But
exactly.
all I wanted was for it to not be corny and for it to be funny. And it's not really that corny, and it's pretty funny. So I'm just going to come right out and say it. I absolutely fucking love this movie. It's an 8.5 for me. I thought it was an absolute blast. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are both so damn good.
Yeah.
Genuinely laugh out loud funny at some points. It's packing movie theaters, which is really the most important thing. And I don't think they could have done a better job doing a movie about Barbie dolls appealing to the entire like mainstream world. Like, who would have thought a movie about Barbie's just crushing right now? But I know there's some criticism. I'm like, yours is definitely justified. There's definitely a few points where it's like some really eye-rolly like, okay, in your face moments. But like I said, that's kind of expected from Greta Gerwig.
Yeah.
She's known for her strong female-led movies like Lady Bird and Little Women. Lady Bird, I love that movie. Have you seen Lady Bird?
I have not. I've seen Little Women, and I really like that.
You should watch Lady Bird, dude. It's incredible.
I will do that. So,
but
yeah, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
I was saying, I don't think we're really the target audience, but I do think this movie could be enjoyed by anyone. Absolute blast at the theater. The soundtrack. I'm not afraid to admit that it slaps. I've been just listening to it all the time. My girl Dua Lipa's new song is awesome. That's a scene in the movie is freaking sick. Yeah. Ryan Gosling's Ken song, his cover, and his he has a Matchbox 20 cover and his Ken song are both on Spotify. Guess how many monthly listeners Ryan Gosling has on Spotify?
Oh man, it's got to be.
He had a couple songs on there already from La La Land, but guess how many he has now with the Barbie songs on there?
Is it hitting six figures?
Oh yeah.
7?
No.
Okay, I'll go
monthly listeners.
Monthly, I'll go 200-ish thousand.
Oh my god, it went up even further. 4.5 million monthly listeners.
Okay, we hit the 7 figures. Holy shit.
I'm Just Ken from the Barbie album, 8 million streams.
There you go.
Push, his cover of Matchbox 20 from the Barbie album, 1.3 million streams.
Yeah. And I will say the Matchbox 20 bit was my favorite part of the movie.
So funny, dude. And there's another scene where, well, I'll save that for spoilers. I mean, it's not really a spoiler. It's fucking Barbie. Exactly. They're in Kenland, and he opens the door to his Mojo Dojo Casa house, and some other like butt rock song is playing in the background. And I had to take note of it. I can't remember which song it was though. It might have been Matchbox 22, but it was just also one of those songs that you hear on the X all the time. It was so funny.
I think it was. I'm pretty sure there were 2 Matchbox 20 songs.
Okay, so definitely probably was. But yeah, this movie's just going to be killing it for a while. I hope you're not sick of seeing Margot Robbie or Ryan Gosling because we're going to be seeing them for a long time. I think they're going to try to recreate this also with other toys, but I don't think any of them are going to be as good or do as well as this one is.
No, agreed. Push, Matchbox 20. Oh,
I'm a huge Matchbox 20 guy, though.
Same. They're good.
They're
fucking
awesome.
90s. What I was gonna say there was what Greta did so well in Little Women was that it was the message was shown, not told.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of that. Like, put undertones and stuff. That's absolutely fine. Mm-hmm. the audience should come to that conclusion. That's not what this was.
Yeah.
There were literal 5-minute monologues by multiple individuals that were just basically a lecture fest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I get it. I understand. And it's just like, it makes the audience feel, it's almost like talking down to them.
Yeah, I kind of gave that a little bit of a pass though, because it does like break the fourth wall a little bit. So like, I kind of get it, but especially whenever like Margot Robbie's crying, they're like, "Hey, if you want somebody to look ugly, don't cast Margot Robbie."
Yeah, and I thought that was all perfectly fine. That was showing, not telling, right?
Right.
Barbie comes to the real world, and actually, let's just
spoilers. Yeah,
spoilers. We'll give you a little bit of time to get out of here. Stick around for Oppenheimer though, and we will talk about that. Spoiler time. She comes into the real world, and immediately she's just like slapped in the face with, wow, the real world is not what I expected. And that was all good. I think the turning point for me, the jump the shark moment, was when she went, I don't even remember her name, nor do I care to remember, but the daughter. When she goes in and tries to talk to her, first off, who just let some random woman into a school? That's like, how did she make it that far? That's not good.
I feel like Margot Robbie though could just walk into any school. She's
what's
especially
up?
if it's a dude, a principal's like, "Oh, hey, what's up? Hey, what are you doing here?" Like,
and maybe that should have been part of the movie. That could have been just part of the show. Like, oh, patriarchy. You can do anything you want if you're beautiful. Which I get that message. That's been a message around Barbie dolls for years. That like her figure, what she looks like, it's unrealistic, and completely understand that. That's not a good, I don't know, image to show little girls. Growing up, I don't have any sisters or anything like that. Ty, you have a sister, but I grew up pretty close to my female cousins, and they've both, it's hard being a girl. That's sure. Obviously part of this statement. You're expected to look pretty, and if you're not pretty, you're
a weirdo.
Life's absolutely tough. Like that is 100% true, and I think that can be shown so much more because they've done it so much more in multiple movies. Some of Greta's films herself. I don't need a complete sidetrack talking directly to the audience, breaking that fourth wall, explaining how difficult it is. That's not what I feel like. If you are a good writer, if you are someone who can get that point across by showing it in a film, I think that message is so much stronger. Otherwise,
she could have definitely been more subtle with it. She's a very good director. She didn't have to be so in your face about it. And I know a lot of people do think the whole like in your face misogyny, whatever, bad, like that has turned a lot of people off from the movie.
And that's exactly kind of my point, where you get all the the incel crew and all that people like up in arms about this movie, which like I'm just mad it wasn't more funny stuff. It is really all I care about. The message is whatever. I just think it brought the movie down in my mind. I feel like there could have been more silly fun that could have been had with Ryan Gosling, Margot, Michael Cera, all Alan. Hilarious characters that I just think more could have been done is what that ends up being.
Yeah, for sure. So what were some of your favorite bits from the movie? I think, like you said, starting off, I'm not even a huge Lizzo guy, but her song at the beginning of the movie is really funny, and it just sets the tone of the entire movie for me.
I like the whole soundtrack.
The entire soundtrack.
And I don't even like Lizzo.
Dude. I don't either. That song is so funny, especially when she's like, if that was a real mirror, you'd be smiling right now or whatever. And
yeah. But no, 100%. When Matchbox 20, I think it was playing in the car. I can't remember. But Matchbox 20 comes on before the Kens, I should say, start singing it. But it was on the radio. I'm like, oh yeah, good tunes.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they all start trying to serenade their Barbies on the beach by covering Push, and that was just fucking funny
The cover
and
on
so
Spotify
good.
is so funny too, 'cause
It's
I
so
didn't even
good.
realize in the movie like he's really like hamming it up, and he's like oh and like
Yeah, yeah.
it's just so funny to listen
It's
to.
good. I also liked the how stupid it was for them to get between the real world and Barbie Land.
I know, yeah,
Like how
he
you have to
like a
travel. I'm like,
car,
that's stupid.
boat,
Yeah.
airplane. I love the
Uh,
Dua Lipa and John Cena as mermaids.
yes, yeah. He's like, hey Barbie, hey Ken.
Everybody just says, "Hey Barbie, hey Barbie." We
Yeah,
went to a
that's
Barbie themed party, and that's what all the girls were doing too. They kept saying, "Hey Barbie, hey Barbie."
fantastic.
Um, the whole entire beach off scene too was hilarious. He's like, "Oh, I'll beach off right now."
Yeah.
He's like, "Nobody's gonna beach anybody off." Like,
So yeah, that was hilarious. Just do the play on words, get that stupid comedy in there. It's funny, and that probably kind of leans into the bit that this movie was not for children. Between the kind of raunchy jokes like that, I mean, even the older soundtracks, they're not going to know Matchbox 20.
yeah,
And the whole political aspect of it, we can call it. We're not going to get into politics at all, but a child's not going to go in there and be like, yeah, I agree with this or something like that when all they wanted to see was a movie about their Barbie doll coming to life.
true. And I think a lot of the parents probably are gonna be like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And there's like those like psycho dads
Oh
that
yeah,
their daughter sees this movie and they're going to go nuts because of its message. And I
absolutely.
just, that's a shame to begin with. But um, yeah, it feels like, am I wrong in thinking I feel misled? If I didn't know who Greta Gerwig was, and I'm blaming myself. But for the mass people who are not as into movies and knowing directors and what they've done, the way this movie was marketed and the trailer, nothing was super alluding to how in your face of a message it was going to be.
Yeah, nobody thought there was gonna be like, yeah, nobody thought it was gonna be like in your face, like a stance on misogyny and all that. But I will say, even I know even of like girls that even thought it was like a little too much with like the feminism and shit. So you're not in the minority as much as you might think you are.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
yeah, I mean, it just different strokes for different folks.
exactly, exactly, and again, it maybe you said it. Maybe this movie wasn't pointed for us, but at the same time, I think it was
Yeah.
because we're men,
Mhm.
and this the message was to call, I'm not going to say us out because we're not complete douchebags,
Mhm.
but there are douchebags in this world. Call them out as you see them. Absolutely, completely fine. So I think it might be incorrect to say that this movie wasn't for us because they're
Mhm.
not lecturing their own on this thing. They probably feel that and know that.
Mhm.
But again, it's not for me to speak on.
Yeah. I took one firm stance during this movie, and it's that Ten Land fucking rules. And I just want to have a Mojo Dojo Cause House and drink brewski beers with all my homies all day, every day,
Yeah, just want to live my
and
life,
ride pretend horses and
dude.
wear a
How
couple pairs of sunglasses.
that bit was fucking funny. Just how much they're like, who knew that being such a patriarch requires you to have a horse?
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
whenever he says, well, once I found out the patriarchy was not all just about horses or whatever, I lost interest. It was so fun. Ryan Gosling was so damn funny in this movie. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like nominated for a supporting role.
So I think a almost purely so okay, this is actually a perfect example. Triangle of Sadness.
Hmm.
It got a nomination for best film. That movie sucked.
Hmm.
Like, but its whole reason, and the whole reason I believe it was nominated, and I think we talked about this in an early episode, was because the Academy was like, the whole point of the movie is rich people bad. They can't
Yeah.
do anything without the working class.
Hmm.
And the Academy, the rich people are like, yeah, we agree with that sentiment. It's like it kind of feels like that, where again, I may agree with your message. I'm not going to go and talk about any of my feelings on any of that because it doesn't matter. I'm reviewing movies. And that was that whole entire movie. It was not as in your face, there weren't monologues talking
Hmm.
about it, but the whole movie being based around that instead of, people on a crazy cruise ship getting stranded somewhere, I just it lost my interest. And it wasn't even funny. At least this was funny.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if this catches like a Best Picture nom too, for sure.
Yeah. It's original.
Definitely. One last bit that I loved that we didn't mention yet was Alan just whipping everybody's ass, and then talking about how all the NSYNC guys in the real world were actually just Alans that escaped too.
Yeah, that's
That
fantastic.
was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we kind of hit everything we needed to hit with Barbie. If you're into it, you're into it.
100%.
Anybody can see this and enjoy it. Anybody can see it and have some issues with it, but either way, it's fun. Either way, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna listen to that goddamn soundtrack.
Yeah. And when I say the highs are high, like I cracking up, like choking
Yeah,
sometimes when I was laughing so hard.
absolutely.
So it definitely has its moments.
Hmm.
Um, but it
But
also
it
has
also
other
takes
moments.
it
Yeah.
takes its stances.
And again,
It throws the word fascism around there
it
too
does.
liberally.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah. So, um, but that's actually a pretty good segue into the next movie by ending it talking about fascism.
Yeah, there we go.
So, yeah, we will. I guess we should take a second here and bring in the other people. If you skip the spoiler section for Barbie, welcome back for the Oppenheimer spoiler list section. Again, this feels so weird to do spoiler list because
Spoiler freaks, it's just American history.
it's history. Like this is stuff, not
It's
all of it, obviously.
pretty well known history. I mean, yeah, you might not know everything about good old Bobby Oppie, but
Yeah, we're alive, people. The bomb didn't
yeah,
kill us all. It killed a lot of people, just not everyone. So that's really what it is. So we'll see. I don't know if we really need to split it up too much, but
yeah,
whatever. If no, fuck it. No, we're just gonna talk about it.
yeah.
If you don't want spoilers, leave. Get out of here. But if you don't mind, and it does by no means are spoilers going to ruin the movie at all.
No, and if you're listening to the pod, you probably already seen Oppenheimer anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So stick around.
This is for you folks,
Yeah.
the dedicated listeners.
Yeah, if you're listening to a movie podcast, I'm assuming you see the movies on the opening week or before
Yeah.
the next weekend in which we drop the pod.
Let's. Oh, I almost made a horrible joke, Ty. I almost said let's op into it. I didn't do that. That didn't happen.
It got a laugh from
But-
me. It got a
but
laugh from me.
it did come in there. I'm not even a dad, and I'm throwing in these dad jokes. But yeah, Oppenheimer coming in here, 3-hour runtime. Director Christopher Nolan, who I really have to think about it, but he very well may be my favorite director.
I think so. I honestly think so.
He's so up there that like if he's one of the few directors that if they put out a movie, I know 100% I'm seeing it.
Yep.
It's him, Scorsese, probably Tarantino.
Yep. Absolutely.
But this movie, fantastic. I will say that it will bore the shit out of some people.
Absolutely. I told Tay, I don't know if she would love this movie as much as I do. I think she might get a little bored.
But it's kind of like that American history type stuff. You get a little bit of science here and there.
Yeah.
I love shit's fascinating to me.
Oh, absolutely.
And honestly, what might even be more fascinating than the science of making a bomb and everything like that is the fact that Kodak had to make special film for the black and white sections of this movie to be shot in the same quality as the rest of the movie. So there has never been black and white film for IMAX.
It's crazy. And the fact that he was able to pull off what he did without using CGI is an insane feat of cinema. It's insane the way that bomb looks without the use of CGI.
Yeah. So
Chris Nolan just always finds a way to like up himself.
Yeah, and I think it was in my mind, Tenet was that was his low for me.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was interesting, but it was like it was like he was trying to outdo himself with Inception with how
it was like trying to flip the whole time thing on its head and flip it and reverse it and like you
got to work it.
Yeah.
I know Missy Elliott. Yeah. But yeah, this film, I almost made another bad joke. Blows it out of the water.
It honestly does.
It is good. Ty, you have it. Currently, my rating is not in here. Yours is in here. You gave it a 10 out of a 10.
Yeah, so this is the first movie since we've started the podcast where I didn't even want to take out my phone and take notes. There's no other way to describe this movie other than it's incredible. Originally, I didn't know if this could have been any better or not, and having thought about it, there's no way it could have been any better. It's perfect. It's a 10 in my book. It's unbelievable in every aspect, from the cast to the cinematography, the score, the directing. There's not a bad thing to take away from this movie. And we all know how this history played out with the atomic bomb, and yet we're still on the edge of our seats when they're testing this bomb. We're on the edge of our seats in the courtroom. Who would have thought this went from the development of the atomic bomb to a courtroom drama all about Oppenheimer and how he pretty much gets blackballed from, I don't know, government and everything for his ties to communism.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a drama, a thriller from that too. I mean, just like lock it in now for all the Oscars. It just doesn't get any better than this, dude.
That's an easy one to throw up there. Ty, your 10 rating currently has it as number 1, much like Mission Impossible was for a few seconds.
Yeah, that lasted off about a week. And I feel so bad for that movie. It's going to get absolutely crushed by these two.
So that puts it at number 1, depending on my rating here. And I killed it last time with Mission Impossible. I brought it down to make it sit at number 3. For Oppenheimer, it will take the number 1 spot.
It's the best movie of the year by far, in my opinion.
Our list. I did not give it a 10, but a 9.
A 9. It's very close. It's like a hair here, but
yeah. And the reason why I went 9, actually, there's a couple reasons. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're top-notch cast, acting, cinematography, story. And you look at this on paper, and you could probably like read it as a book, and it might be boring as shit.
But I think it is a book.
That's where Christopher Nolan got it, right?
Yeah, I think I think Rob Pattinson gave him a book about Oppenheimer on the set of Tenet, and then he ended up making the movie. And I guess old Pattinson was too busy to be in this one, so he couldn't get him in it. But it's okay. I just think Cillian Murphy was probably the best option for Oppenheimer. That maybe one of the best castings of all time.
He's in a bunch of
just like the guy.
He's in a bunch of. Nolan got all of his guys in this movie.
He did. Yep.
You know, he was Scarecrow, The Dark Knight.
He was in Inception.
He was in Inception. Was he in Tenet?
I don't think he was in Tenet.
What's the other one? He was in something else. Was it just more Dark Knights? Yeah, I think he was in multiple Dark Knights.
Probably, yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, so I ended up with a 9 out of 10. Couple reasons I did not give it a 10. One, there is so much information packed into this movie that
true.
Some things get a little bit glossed over. And if you are not
a lot of names being thrown around.
A lot of names, a lot of science project names, a lot of things going on. It can get very difficult to keep track of.
For sure.
But that's part of it, you know. So I didn't kill it, you know, that much for that. You
Right.
have to pay attention, which I mean, if you're watching a fucking movie, pay attention.
Right.
It's part of it. So that was one part of it because there's so much information. It's 3 hours long. There's going to be a lot of information, but there's even times that something that feels somewhat important can kind of get glossed over just because they got to keep moving.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so that was one thing that got it brought down. The second thing, and this is just a personal thing. When I rate a movie a 10, um, I think of a movie that is always going to be rewatchable. A
Mm-hmm.
movie that if I see it on TV, I'm sitting down, I'm watching it. The Goodfellas,
Mm-hmm.
The Matrix, Godfather. Those are films that I will rewatch time and time again. Dazed and Confused. They're good, but not
Mm-hmm.
only are they good, I can watch them a million times. I
For
don't think
sure.
I can watch Oppenheimer a million times.
That's true. I could see that.
But that's just a personal thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it. Those are really
Yeah,
the only things keeping it from a 10 for me.
and that's completely fair. I mean, 9 out of 10 is still unbelievable movie, and that's
Yeah.
yeah. Everybody has their nitpicks here and there, but I couldn't think of anything that was bad enough for me to want to drop it down any lower. And I liked it much more than Mission Impossible, than John Wick,
Hmm.
than Guardians,
Yep.
which I think Mission Impossible should probably be lower than Guardians and John Wick. Like thinking back about it, it's tough, to rank those three. They're all really close.
Yeah. So
Starting to think John Wick might be my second favorite behind this.
I think so I did end up tying it with Guardians,
Hmm.
and it was kind of a switch in my reasons. I think I can watch Guardians multiple times,
Uh huh.
but the story and everything is not nearly as good as Oppenheimer.
Right. For sure.
Uh, um, Still good, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
we have it at a 9. It's still number 2 on the year, but this Christopher Nolan's just so fucking good.
I think the Trinity test alone is probably one of the best scenes in any movie I've ever seen. That silence in that like blinding white light, that was
Yeah,
like the silence was deafening. Like literally, nobody moved a muscle in our theater.
and
That was counting
the
down.
build up to it
Insane.
was very good as well. Just the music itself. Like
Yeah.
you can mute all other sound other than the music that's going on, and it does something to you. It gets your adrenaline going like, fuck, what's gonna happen? It's like
Yep.
we know what's gonna happen. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Uh,
The fact that it even rained, it stormed that whole entire night too before that, and they got it to go
yeah.
at like 5 in the morning, whatever. Insane.
So I gotta look up the music because I at first, I heard it. I'm like, is this Hans? It is not. Ludwig. Oh God, Göransson.
Hmm. Oh, is that the guy that does? Is that the guy that did the Joker?
Uh, no.
Okay.
When
It
was
was also
Joker?
some the
No,
Joker movie was also somebody that has a name similar to that.
he's done a lot. So he's done Mandalorian,
Okay.
both Black Panthers,
Okay.
Tenet. He he did. He's done music videos. Travis Scott and Alicia Keys. Creed 2. Um, what else we got? What did I say? Both Black Panthers. Atlanta, Central Intelligence, the first Creed. He's worked a lot with Childish Gambino. So
Okay.
he's been around, but I think he really got his stride during Tenet. Tenet also had fantastic music. Um,
For sure.
but yeah, it was very similar to what you think of like Hans Zimmer, Interstellar.
Yeah.
It
Yep.
reminded me of that, where just your adrenaline starts pumping just because of uh the music alone. And I also read, I gotta find it. There's no drums
Yeah, I
in
just saw
any of
that
the movie.
today on Reddit actually.
Yeah, because drums are, it can be associated with army, military type stuff, and they felt it would be disingenuous to have that in a film about Oppenheimer.
Hmm.
So yeah, little neat fact there. Um,
some of the other scenes were great. Just Robert Downey Jr. as Strauss getting absolutely
so
owned in the
good.
courtroom by Rami
Yeah.
Malek.
Yeah.
So I thought Rami Malek was gonna be like some dickhead to shit on Oppenheimer too.
Mhm.
He looked like some little evil like dorky sidekick guy 'cause he was with that other scientist in the movie, but no, he just came and like completely just took a dump on Robert Downey Jr. and like fully took Oppenheimer's side, and then
Yeah.
ended up not getting Strauss elected to whatever the hell government panel he was going
Yeah.
for election.
Good. Fuck
Awesome.
him.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. And that was that was a little bit of a twist here. So, maybe that would be the little bit of spoiler because I didn't know that piece of history.
I didn't either.
I didn't pay attention to any of that.
No,
We didn't learn it in school.
for sure.
But yeah, Strauss was trying to throw him under the bus, get him in trouble, which I mean,
Because he's just not on the level of genius that Oppenheimer is.
yeah. And he gets shit on,
Yep.
little baby about it.
Little
Um,
fucking baby ass.
Also, didn't know how much of a damn player he was.
No, he's out
Which
here.
who would think?
He's just cheating on his wives and shit, man.
And she knew, and she stays,
He
and like
stays.
just fucking it. And also, Florence's whole purpose of being in the film is to make it rated R,
Oh
which
yeah.
we talked about. We're like, and he's just into psychopaths, which is
Couple of atomic
hilarious.
bombs, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The communism.
Oh
He's
yeah,
a communist
both
there,
of them.
buddy.
Um,
Um,
Shit ton
the
of
part where
people.
he announced, oh yeah, I mean, he got the best performances out of everybody in his cast career, out of all of them.
Yeah.
Um, Oppenheimer announcing the success of the bomb and then coming to terms with like what he's done,
Yeah.
like while standing up at the podium, and he's like having like a panic attack, and like the chick's skin's flapping off.
Mm-hmm.
He's like the lights or stuff is going blind. Apparently, the chick's skin that's flapping off is Nolan's daughter.
Oh,
A little fun fact
that's
for you.
a little fucked up to see, but
Yeah. The me and Frank
it
were cracking up whenever he gets done. Strauss comes to his house and tells me he's going to be going to trial or whatever the hell.
huh.
And then Einstein just walks up, it's like out of nowhere.
Yeah, where did he
Einstein
come from?
from behind the car. Einstein just like,
I
"What's
was
up?"
here the whole time.
He's like, "I saw that going down. Figured I'd
Yeah,
wait."
the fuck.
The
Yeah,
ending of
it's
the movie too, whenever you hear what he says to Einstein, then it just pans in on Cillian Murphy. It's just like it was like that's like the most sombering moment of the whole movie. That's why everybody leaves and
yeah.
like needs to have a cigarette, needs to go outside and just like
Fuck.
realize what they done. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean it's a great point. They did. I mean, we're not there yet, but they set off the chain reaction that could lead to the end of the world.
Yeah, and
Um,
speaking of the chain reaction, the guy Benny Safdie, his director, he's done a lot of movies with his brother. They did like Uncut Gems and all that stuff. He's doing really well, like acting. He was the guy that I sent you the picture of the sunscreen. He put the sunscreen on
that
whenever.
was him. Okay.
Yeah, Benny Safdie. He was great in this movie.
He
Him and
was.
RDJ both. I think RDJ is going to get nominated for sure for Best Supporting Actor.
I
But
was
there was so many good performances in this movie.
I was trying to think of who that was. I'm like, man, you look so damn familiar, and I can't figure
He was
out
in
who you
Licorice
are.
Pizza 2. He was in Good Time.
Yeah,
Did you ever see Good Time?
good.
A24, Robert Pattinson, Benny Safdie.
No,
You should watch that movie. Holy shit, you would love it, I
I'm
think.
just looking at that right now. Okay, yeah. Added to the list.
Add it to the list.
That might be something for the weekend.
I think
Uh,
eventually, whenever we start running out of movies here to talk about before the end of the year dwindles down, we'll have to do like our 100 or our 10 out of 10 movies, or just dwindle it
yeah,
down
for
to a
sure.
couple because I've only ever given two to them since I started rating them, so that's this and everything everywhere. But I mean, looking back, like I obviously Goodfellas, obviously The
Yep.
Departed, obviously probably Happy Gilmore, like, obviously Happy, like
Yeah.
just shit like that. So that'd be a
Yeah.
fun episode.
I got all those on my IMDb, a lot less than I would think, which is
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, that could definitely be a thing. And now I'm realizing where I saw Benny most recently. He's in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
Oh, okay.
And that's what I recognized him from because it looks like he's always wearing eyeliner.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I was cracking up when I'm like, what's he doing? I'm like, that's sunscreen. And he doesn't even rub it in, he just pops it
Yeah.
on.
That's so funny.
But I want to take a second and kind of just run through just the sheer amount of people in
Yeah.
this film because um yeah, you get the biggest names, I guess, out there on the movie posters and trailers and everything. But Rami Malek was a fucking surprise. Like
Yeah, he's probably
yeah,
only in the movie for all of 5 minutes total.
yeah.
5 minutes total screen time, and he kind of does steal the show a little bit.
So going down through it, Cillian Murphy, obviously, Emily Blunt is his wife, Robert Downey Jr., Jason Clarke, who I actually mistook him for Matthew Perry from Friends.
Oh,
They look very, very similar, but then I'm like, wait, Matthew is like way older.
yeah. Jason Clarke was awesome in his role too, just interrogating the
Fantastic.
fuck out of Oppenheimer. Piece of shit. Fuck that guy.
Uh, Kenneth Branagh was Niles Bohr, which brought me back to chemistry class. Like,
Exactly. We've heard all these names before.
it's you.
Heisenberg, Bohr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else we got here? That Josh Zuckerman from Sex Drive.
Yeah.
He's also
Matt
young
Damon.
Dr. Evil in Austin Powers.
There's a ton here. Who's the guy
But
from the Santa Claus? I gotta go find his name. It's gonna drive me crazy.
I was gonna say Tim Allen.
Aaron
I'm like, he was
Aldenreich's
it?
really Aaron Aldenreich, he was really good as the Senate aide for Straws.
My favorite one, and we talked about it, Josh Peck.
Josh Peck out of nowhere.
Hilarious.
He's the
Just
guy
bring
that
him in.
pushes the button on the Trinity test. It's like crazy.
Uh, Kenneth brought. Wait, that I brought him up already. Yes.
Yeah.
Florence Pugh.
I'm
We
still
we
looking for that
talked
guy's name.
about Matt Damon, obviously. Peck, Jack Quaid.
Jack Quaid, Eddie
Um,
Safdie.
when he's playing the bongos, that's actually him. He plays the bongos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he just randomly he's like, I got bongos. I can fucking play that shit.
Well, we got a Casey Affleck too.
Yeah, better than Ben.
True.
It's like you knew one of them had to be in it because Matt Damon's in it.
Yep, for sure.
It's just I don't know if they have like an actual contract for that, but that just seems to be a rule.
Krumholtz is the dude's name that was in the Santa Claus that's in this.
Who?
He plays. I think his name's like David Krumholtz or something like that.
Oh, gotcha.
He's like he was like the elf dude in Santa Claus, like the older
Okay,
elf. And then in this,
gotcha.
he's like Oppenheimer's buddy.
Gotcha.
Dane DeHaan's in this too. Haven't seen that guy in a while.
And you got to throw in Gary Oldman. Get
True.
old
I did not know
Commissioner
that
Gordon in there.
I didn't know that he was going to be Truman, and he kind
Yeah,
of just is there to be a dickhead to Oppenheimer.
yeah, yeah.
Why don't you
What
go
a
cry
fucking
about it,
asshole!
bitch? Yeah, the blood's on my hands, buddy. I dropped the bomb. Why
He
don't you go
felt so
cry
good
about
about
it?
it.
Yeah.
Dickhead.
Why don't you go cry about it, bitch?
I think it's funny that we kind of talked about this. Now he's played both President of the United States and Winston Churchill in
Yeah.
separate movies. So he's just becoming everyone involved in World War II.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of people in this damn movie, but
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
this is a front runner for picture of the year, best picture. I it has to be a clear favorite. I don't know anything
so
else
too.
that can compete.
Especially if Dune ends up getting pushed to 2024, I think this is
Yeah.
just gonna run away with it. I don't even know what else is even being thought about as like an Oscar front runner right now. I guess
And
it's still too early to tell, but
the Academy, they're not always big on letting sequels into running for best picture. So even if Dune is there,
yeah, I think this movie's just gonna
interesting.
clean up.
It has to. I can't think of a single other thing. There's probably some movies that we haven't seen that are just like super artsy.
Right.
That'll probably be up there. Like I bet Asteroid City is going to be nominated.
I had such high hopes for that movie.
Yeah,
Did you end up seeing it?
I did. I gave it a 6.
Yeah.
This will definitely be nominated, and currently I'm putting it as winning.
Yeah, for sure. I think we could put money down on it now and we would be in good shape.
That's actually a good question. I'm going to take a quick look to see if there's odds up. Cillian Murphy favored for Best Actor minus 250.
Oh, yeah.
Current front runner. Behind him, old Leo DiCaprio at plus
Killers of the
190
Flower Moon.
Yep, not even out yet.
About that movie. Yep. Okay, that's gonna
There's
give it
another
a
one
run for its money. Okay, so that's probably. Actually, that's in my notes from Talk to Me today. I didn't want to bust them out, so I didn't have to spoil anything for next week. But I saw the trailer for that again. That's got to be like my most anticipated movie the rest of the year. I think.
I don't know how I missed it. I was going through upcoming releases. I just probably skipped over it. But Emily Blunt, Even Money, which is the favorite for Best Actress. Nolan, Even Money for Best Director. Oppenheimer, barely a minus 105 favorite.
Over Killers of the Flower Moon?
Killers of the Flower Moon plus 230.
Well, wow. What are the others so far on the list?
Dune plus 500.
Okay.
Maestro, Bradley Cooper. Oh, directed and written and starring Bradley Cooper.
Sweet, I guess.
The complex love of Leonard and Felicia from the time they met in 1946 at a party and continuing through 2 engagements, a 25-year marriage, and 3 children.
Who the hell are Leonard and Felicia?
Yeah, who the fuck's Leonard and Felicia?
Come here, Lenny.
Long story short, see Oppenheimer. See it in IMAX if you can.
Yeah, I could not. It still looked good. It still looked good. Still sounded good. It's good old South Pike. Even though I think their goddamn AC was broken or something. Because it was so hot the last couple movies I've seen there, and it was like stuffy, and it's just like, of course now there's actually people at the theater. Then now the shit breaks.
Yeah,
South Pike, come on.
They know.
I'm practically a shareholder in this goddamn theater. I'm there so much. I wonder if they're like, oh, it's that guy again.
No, welcome back, Tyler.
I always have my fucking tickets pulled up on my phone. I'm like, I have one for this. They're like, confirmation number, and I always got to read it off like a pleb. I should just flash the phone. They should just let me go.
You get your cookie dough bites.
I actually didn't today. I didn't even get a drink.
Oh, geez, went in dry.
Yeah, I went to Target beforehand. And I drank a white Monster, so I didn't want to load up too much.
Lammed it. Nice. That'll do it for this episode. Long story short, Oppenheimer, great film. Go see it.
And I'm a Barbie guy.
Hi is now Ken from now on.
I want to be. I want to live in Ken land, I think.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind being a Ken. You live a good life. You're Ken now. That'll do it for episode 25. Next week, I don't know what we're doing. Ty, I guess you're going to talk about Talk to Me.
I guess I'm going to talk to you.
Let's do it. Ty, maybe that's our 10 out of 10 episode. We'll find out. We don't know what we're going to do. We're going to show up.
Not, folks.
But we will catch you next time.
Alrighty, guys. See you.